Home buyer regret is absolutely real. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Jeff Trevarthen, Jeff the Mortgage Pro. Thanks so much for watching today. If you like my videos, please make sure you click the like button down below. That helps me out. Helps me move that algorithm a little bit forward and helps me get out to more people. And that's what I'm trying to do, is spread my message about mortgages. I'm here to help you. I want to, really help anybody across the United States with their mortgages. And by doing that and subscribing to my channel, you're really going to help me out and push that mortgage out. So that's for me, and I appreciate that. But this content is all for you, the consumer and the person that is looking or interested in learning more about mortgage information. Okay. So today, what I want to talk about is kind of something that, you want to make sure you consider before you actually buy a house. And according to the title of this video, home buyer regret is real. And let me give you a couple of examples here. There's 4 mistakes that you want to try to really avoid when you are going to be buying property, especially for the first time. And the first one is fear of missing out. I think that is the biggest thing that I see in the marketplace right now, that every consumer really is just like pushing to try to buy a house. And it seems to happen that way when inventory is really low, like it is here in the summer of 2023. And people just really think that they need to buy a house, but prices just keep going up. And at what point do you think that you should jump in and try to buy a house? That fear of missing out is just really driving people's ideas right now. All of my friends are buying houses, so I should buy a house is kind of what that feeling is like. And I get that. I've been there. I've done that. And it's not something that you really want to do, because you could regret it going down the road. And what I want you to do, there's a couple things. If you feel like you have the fear of missing out, ask yourself, what's your why? Like, why are you buying a house right now? Especially a primary mortgage house. If you're buying an investment property, that's a different story, because you're buying that just for income. You're not buying that to, live in and like have it as your home. So ask yourself, what's your why of buying your primary residence? Is your employment stable? Some industries, you're going to see a lot of fluctuations over the next couple of years, especially with a pending recession. And we'll see what happens in the economy, but it doesn't feel like things are going very great right now. So is your employment stable? And do you think that it's going to continue going forward? Because the last thing you would want to do is get into a house and lose your job. And then, do you have enough cash reserves? Again, because if you're going to spend all your money on down payment and closing costs and buying a property and have nothing left over and nothing for an emergency, that's putting yourself in a tough position going forward. So the number one mistake that I want you to really avoid is fear of missing out. So stay away from that. Okay. If you're considering buying a house and you feel like you have the fear of missing out, talk through it with somebody and see if you can resolve that issue. The second thing that I would never want you to do is to use all of your money for the mortgage payment every single month. It's called being house rich and cash poor. And I haven't seen it as much lately as I did during the 2008, 2009, 2010, the big recession that happened after the financial crisis in 2008. It was horrible. I saw so many people that spent so much stinking money on their mortgage. They had house rich and they had nothing in savings and they could barely last. And that's why you saw so many foreclosures happen after the financial crisis. So if you're considering buying a house right now, going all in on down payment and closing costs may not be the best idea. And I would never want you to do that. There's other things that you can consider for expenses too that aren't even considered in the mortgage transaction. So these are things like, water, electricity, gas, trash, maintenance on the property, internet, cable TV, food, daycare. The list goes on and on about other expenses that people have after they buy a home. And those are things that are not considered in the mortgage calculation. So think about what your budget might be before you actually buy that house. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is that they ignored potential pitfalls in the inspection report. Maybe there was a crack in the foundation. You're like, it's not going to worry about it. Like, we'll be good for another 10 years or whatever, right? And then an earthquake happens and you see that crack has gotten a little bit bigger. Or, maybe there's dry rot somewhere and you're not worried about it, or termites, or whatever it is that might be that you didn't consider that you probably should fix right away in that thing. And then all of a sudden, after you buy the house becomes an absolute money pit. Now, there's a word for that in the car industry. It's called a lemon. It's not. There's no such thing as that in the real estate industry. There's no give backs. You can't go trade in that house that you just bought if it is in poor condition, because it's ultimately on you. Usually when you're buying a house, so you're not going to be able to give that thing back. So consider the inspection reports really thoroughly before you actually make the move of going forward, and that way it doesn't become a money pit for you down the road. And then the last thing to consider about home buyer regret is that a lot of people bought homes in the wrong area. I know tons of people who were like, oh, I think this is a great area, but they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't show up during different times of the day and look at the property. You want to look at it morning, afternoon, during the day, and at night. You want to look at it at weekends and on weekdays and see what the differences is between, your neighbors, the traffic. What does it look like at all those different times of day? So those are things to consider when you're going to be buying your home in the wrong area. You want to look at local schools if that's something that is important to you. Go visit the schools, see what's up. See, introduce yourself to the principals, saying you might be buying a house in the neighborhood and you're considering going to the school, and see what they have to say. Visit the parks, visit the shopping, visit the restaurants, see what the neighborhood is all about. And then talk to the neighbors is the biggest thing. If you can get a hold of one of the neighbors, or if you see them outside, make sure you go talk to them and see what it's like, because there are so many people that I know are like, oh man, I bought this house and I loved it and I thought I loved it, but it's just the wrong neighborhood. And just remember, things change over time too. Like, just because you're buying it in the right neighborhood right now, it may not be the right neighborhood down the road. So take a look at that. So 4 mistakes to avoid when you are buying a home. Home buyer regret is a very real thing. And if it's something that's going to affect you, please let me know. We want to make a plan going forward so that you have a really good idea about the house you're going to buy. And if you want to chat with me more about that plan, go ahead and hit my calendar link down below. And that way we can get on the schedule, get on my calendar, and we can talk about what is your plan for your next purchase of a home. Have a great day. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye.